All right, I'm going to call us to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. Thank you. So we have all 5 board members present this evening, and thank you, Casey and Paige, for being here. We know Zephrin's doing the play tonight, so he's not joining us. We need to adopt the meeting agenda. We might have one minor amendment. We're not sure if Gabby will be here to do the Mount Airy building report, so just want to name that as potential. But is there a motion to adopt the meeting agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Meredith. Is there a second?
Second.
We'll take Jack. Thank you, Jack. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. So we have a presentation this evening for Anacortes Middle School. Dr. Irish, do you want to kick us off with that?
It is a great honor and privilege to welcome Principal Denan and Assistant Principal Frost to talk about Anacortes Middle School and give us a brief update on some of the amazing work that they're doing with their school improvement plan. So please come on up. And of course, Sam as well.
Hello. Good evening. Nice to see you. I have the distinct pleasure of talking with you for a couple minutes about the middle school, and then Monica is going to join me up here as well, and then Sam Guzik is here to represent an initiative and talk about one of our big celebrations and accomplishments this year. A couple high-level reflections and bits of information from our school improvement plan this year is focused a lot on what we focused on last year and just a continuation. We are focused as a building on continuing to improve our students' performance and engagement in their classes. So specifically, our goal is to reduce Ds and Fs and increase A through C as well as passing grades, Ps. Our first goal is really centered on our entire school population. And our second goal is drilling down specific to our students that are served with individualized education plans or students with disabilities, which when looking at our data is a group of students that are currently and have been underperforming for many years. Our data that you can see here from last year is a direct reflection on the same goal. So 84.6% of our students were passing with grades A through C or P in semester 1, and then you can see the data from semester 2. And then specifically focused on our students with individualized education plans. 82% of our students were earning grades A through C in semester 1, and then you can see the data for semester 2. Our focus this year is continuing with the same goals, but really trying to work on understanding what the grades represent and specifically identifying who are the students that we need to really help and what are those strategies that we can do that. School-wide, we're focused on engagement, which I think you've heard a little bit about with the change in the growth goal rubric, and the emphasis on the different types of engagement in the classrooms. So our teachers and staff have really been focusing on what are the different engagement strategies and what are the different types of engagement. And then we have designed, which I look forward to sharing with you at the site visit in a few months, a walkthrough protocol where our classrooms are being looked at with a specific lens of engagement. We've also increased our co-teaching classes that are offered for our students that are served on IEPs with a goal to help our students access the on-grade level curriculum and ideally help them also flourish in their classrooms. And we're also increasing what's called push-in, and that's where we have paraprofessionals partnering. We are in the classroom, in the general ed classroom, and we're focused specifically on math and English performance for both of our students in that particular population. And then like I shared a little bit, it's less about what the data shows in terms of the number and more about who that represents in our student population. We're digging into discipline information, attendance information, involvement in curricular and extracurricular activities, and what are some of those other pieces. What do we know about kids, kind of their ACEs and their story, to try to really see what does an F and a D really mean for us. Couple celebrations that I just want to highlight before I hand this over. As you know, we have really focused, and I've shared with you the last few years, our emphasis on discipline and behavior reduction, and we have some really exciting news. As of October 2022, there were 44 students that were removed from the classroom. In reflection the following year, in October of 2023, we had 29 students that were being removed, and this is a direct correlation to their behavior and their engagement in the classroom. And then this fall, we have had only 15 students in the month of October that were removed. When thinking about referrals, and so that's a student remains in the classroom, but they have violated one of our school rules or the Hawk Pledge, and there's a follow-up conversation that takes place with myself, Mrs. Frost, or Mrs. Wolf, and there's a potential consequence or restorative action that takes place afterwards. In October of 2 years ago, we had 118 referrals, and last year, and then this year we've only had 74. So we're seeing a lot of great progress school-wide. We still have a lot of students that have a lot of needs, but we are really excited about the progress that we have been seeing, and we have data to reflect that, which is awesome. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Frost to talk about something that's a great new initiative that she's introduced this year. I just want to give a big shout out. Mrs. Frost has joined the team kind of a little bit later than maybe ideally, and it's been a real pleasure to work with her. She's jumped in all feet first and is I feel really confident that I have a great partner that I get to work with, and I'm super happy to have you.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm super excited to share this new program with you this year. So we're implementing this program called the Hawk 200 Club, and it's a positive behavior intervention program that is designed to reward and recognize students that consistently follow our Hawk Pledge of respecting learning, people, and property. The goals of the Hawk 200 Club are to promote positive behavior, a consistency in expectations, also to strengthen relationships between our staff members and students. It's done a really good job doing that. I feel like students feel like they are seen, they're valued by staff members. We recognize their hard work. It's also to enhance relationships with our families. I've made, so far this year, over 150 phone calls to families of students that have joined the Hawk 200 Club. And those conversations, number one, it's a great way to end my day on these positive conversations with parents. But parents have cried on the phone, super happy. A lot of them had said, "Oh, my heart just dropped when I got a call from the middle school this late. I didn't think it was going to be a shout out for my student," and just a real appreciation for I think my student's great. I'm so glad to hear that you see my student and you think they're great as well. So I think it's doing a great job just enforcing those relationships with our families. Also, as Kia mentioned, in our school improvement plan, we have an initiative to reduce classroom referrals and classroom removals. And I feel like that's a big goal of this program too. And I think implementing this has been part of that reduction data that Kia shared with you. So I'll just share real quick what happens to get in the Hawk 200 Club. So every Monday we have a staff meeting. I hand out about 20 tickets to teach to staff members that want to hand out tickets. Throughout the week, they can find a student that is consistently following our Hawk Pledge. They hand the student a ticket. The student gets to come down to the office, turn it in, get some kudos. The ticket is right there on the slide. You can see that up top. Has our Hawk Pledge on the back. There's a big jar of numbers, 200 numbers in little red balls, and the students draw whatever their number is. And then, as you can see on the picture right there, you can kind of see two students standing in front of our chart. Displayed in our hallway, we have this 200 grid. And so every time a student joins the Top 200 Club, they write their name on that, and then it's displayed in the hallway. When a row gets filled, all of those students in that row will be able to come down and get a prize. So it's a real incentive for kids to work together. Hey, get a ticket. So our row gets called down. We're doing some random drawings throughout the week. You see those students right there at the table. They're playing Wii. So every week, anybody on the grid, their name goes into a random generator. I call them down. They get at lunch on Fridays. They get to play Wii games and drink Izzy's and eat popcorn. So it's been a real incentive. Super low cost, low effort idea for them too. Yeah. And then, so we haven't yet filled the 200 grid yet, but when that gets full, there'll be a big major lotto that everybody's name goes into too. So it's been really great. Feedback from teachers has been great. Teachers have said, I had kids that were, causing some disruptions in class, and this has been a real motivator for them to try to earn a ticket and do better. And overall, it's not about the rewards. It's about, enforcing the Hawk Pledge and just giving them lifelong lessons about how respect is really important in respecting people, learning and property. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. We've appreciated this very much. Just a positive take on how to enforce and hold students accountable in a way that's celebratory, and public recognition for a lot of kids is motivating. So it is really fun to see from the fall to where we are now how many names are up on the board and how quickly it is filling, which is really awesome. I'm excited next to bring up Mr. Guzik, who's going to talk a little bit about the work that we're doing to support our sixth grade students specifically. We are continuing to dive deeper into intervention as a school system in preparation for next year, but also to enhance the win time that we've been offering for several years. Myself, Mr. Guzik, at the time Mrs. McCole and Ms. Besmer participated in a cohort last year with several of our ASD colleagues, and at the time kind of designed what this looked like for this year. And Mr. Guzik and Ms. Besmer are leading it up for us, and he's here to tell you about it.
Hi, everyone. So just like cats, we all have our own specific needs that need to be met at times. I like to use memes in my class sometimes, and some students kind of speak in meme as we go with this. So I just threw a couple of those in there that, kind of fun. So sixth grade intervention has been something we've been piloting this year, really looking part of our SIP goal to meet the needs of students. But it actually came out thinking about a conversation with Meredith I had several years ago at the library. We went on a walking field trip, and it was like, oh my gosh, like all kids' needs are different. Like some kids need more exercise, some kids need grades, some kids need to be challenged logically. It just depends on the situation. And we know that kids, when their needs are met, they succeed more. So of course we are trying to serve the D's and F's and the students that have D's and F's and the ones that are disengaged and unmotivated. But also we're trying to motivate and work with all students and try to empower all students and meet all of their needs. And so we do that in a lot of different ways within this process. You can see in that picture there, there is one-to-one intervention. But really what we're looking at here is throughout the day, we have, I guess we just do this on Wednesdays at the moment, but we have our teachers, we have I think 10 to 12 teachers that are involved with this, and we spread out in different groups, and we have an alternating schedule where kids are getting the option to either sign up for needs to help to go to study hall or to get an intervention help with the teacher, or teachers can select individuals to pull them from fun interest groups that they get to choose to get one-on-one or small group assistance. One of the keys that's been really important is the fun interest groups in and of themselves, that kids are getting to select, just like their electives in class, as far as like, what do I need? Okay, and then also, though there is supports for things like organization in study hall, Mr. Ruckdashel runs that, and he's really focusing in, going hand in hand with our Hawk prep classes of getting kids organized. Every day before kids go to their intervention, they are completing a grade check. And they're graphing out their progress week after week after week. And so I've had so many students already that are like, wow, my grades went up 4 points. And just like little things like that, that we don't want them to be hyper-focused on that, but we want them to be aware. And we want them to know those trends. And then there's an assessment at the bottom of their form where they fill out like, why am I doing well or why am I not? And so there's a reflection point for them to say, oh, I'm not turning in my assignments, or, oh, I missed school and I didn't get that work made up, whatever it is, but it's that reflection and coming back to it again and again each week that is really important. So it's also really powerful for teachers too, because we're not always, sometimes when we have a full class, it's really hard to reteach something to a small group of students that really need it. And honestly, when kids get better grades, they're honestly more engaged in class. It's nice to have them have those different choices as things go along. It's also been a side benefit that we didn't quite expect is Ms. Bezer and I are obviously very gung-ho and excited, and we have great staff, but sometimes we don't always have people that are willing to jump in and try new things. And I'd say our whole group, every one of those teachers has been really motivated to make it work, and it's been really awesome team building with them. And so that's been really exciting as well. So here's some of our wins so far. Miss Kirby just said the other day that she has 3 classes with 0 missing assignments, which is awesome. this was some quotes that I heard in my classes. I kind of like graphing my grades. It lets me know where I'm at. And then this one was really funny. We're sweating buckets with Mr. Lerner. That's in our active FIG, and him and Miss Seacott are like really doing a lot of games in the gym and stuff like that. And then another student said, it's nice that we get to choose things that we want to do, but we also get help without being in front of everybody in class. And that's really nice as well, that we have these small intervention groups. It's like maximum 10 people, but most of the times it's 5 or 6. And it's really just time for them to get the support that they need. So without going too much into this is also a lot of time for us to reflect on what does next year look like. I understand as a teacher that 6th graders are different than 7th and 8th graders. So we are starting to do some brainstorming and thinking through is like, okay, how is this similar and how is this different for 7th and 8th graders? And how do we meet their specific needs versus 6th graders' needs? Also the teachers that are in those grades as well. We also are planning towards a 7-period day next year. So what does that look? We're going to have the opportunity to most likely have this twice a week next year rather than 1 time a week. What's really been great about this too is with Holly and myself leading this, it really doesn't seem like a top-down decision anymore. Initially it did, but I think now that we have such a significant buy-in from this group of our staff, it's just a collective, we're doing this rather than Kia's telling us to do this or the board's telling us to do this. We see the benefits of it and we're just making it happen. Really it's an opportunity for us to continue to dispel myths that it takes away from teaching time. And in a way it's really enhancing our teaching time because we don't have those moments where kids are just bored waiting for others to get retaught, and it speeds up a great process. And it doesn't really take much more planning because honestly we're reteaching or we're creating fun interest groups that are honestly pretty low plan time as far as we get. So the last step and where I'll leave you is we're in the process of really gathering more data and measuring our success. We have those things like Ms. Kirby's saying and myself, like I don't have a failing student right now, but it's really what are those data points that we can continue to gather the step by step, whether that's gathering monthly snapshots of grades on certain days to really identify what is our success. And maybe that's comparing this year to last year. So we're really happy about how it's going, and a lot of that comes from our leadership. So thank you, and have a great evening.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Sam just covered everything beautifully. I'm really excited about the work that he and Holly are leading. As you know, our elementary students are experiencing flex time every day. And so that is a huge shift when they come to middle school, not having a system in place for them. And so I'm really excited about this work. I look forward to being with you in December at our study session to be able to share some of our results and bring some data to you. And then again in April, maybe get to meet some of the kids that are experiencing it. But I think one of the most powerful pieces that Sam mentioned is that we have a collective buy-in of the staff, and all of those teachers, and they're not only just 6th grade teachers, but they're teachers that were interested and wanted to jump in. They're really running with this, and they're making it as incredible as it is. And we had an idea, and they're turning it into what it really is. And I was in one of the classes where the kids were graphing, and it was fun to hear them talk about their grades. And it's not, like Sam said, it's not negative. It's information so that there's an awareness, because it's an important part of what schooling is. And that is also different than elementary. I think we're way over time, so I apologize. Thank you.
No, I have a question. Thank you so much. Thanks, Sam and everybody, and Monica and Kia. But do you consider this, like, I know that MTSS looks different, and
Yep.
it's not. Do you consider like what you just shared, like your version of MTSS at the middle school?
This is exactly us building out that infrastructure. Yeah, we've historically had win time in our classes where they're taking place every other week, and it's looked pretty different in each of the classrooms. And so this is us taking our first step to systematizing what an MTSS structure looks like for Tier 2 and Tier 3, instruction and remediation as well as enrichment. And then next year, with that being in our bell schedule, we're really piloting what it's going to look like next year.
Like school-wide, not just
Yeah.
6th grade, yeah.
Yeah.
And do you still do win time, or
We do.
this is replacing it? Okay.
Yes, in addition. It's a little bit different with 6th graders, but it definitely still takes place for 7th and 8th, and it's kind of an optional thing for 6th.
Great. Any other questions or comments?
So that's an interesting perspective to look at your 7-period day through an MTSS lens. What do you envision your 7th period looking like for students that are performing at or above, which is thankfully the majority of your students that are performing at or above? What does that 7th period look like for them?
Yeah, for a lot of our students, it will be an additional opportunity for an elective class. There's a lot of limitations with our 6th and 7th graders with the requirement for PE in a 6-period day. So I imagine that there will be opportunities for students to take classes that they're excited about, and that they'll be able to continue either sustaining their program and band and not lose opportunities to enjoy some of our other electives. What we know is that students that take those year-long courses have to make really tough decisions. And so some of our students don't even get to try out any of the electives. So it's exciting to be able to offer that. We'll also continue to offer some intervention and remedial courses to help close the gap for some of our student learners. Based on my focus group conversations with kids, they're pretty excited about what we currently offer, and a lot of kids just want more of it. And then they have some other ideas that we're considering. We have a lot of course proposals that are on the table.
So just to follow up, since this is the first time we've actually publicly discussed at a forum like this, how, looking into your crystal ball, how do you forecast, because we'll have to still start and stop the school day at the same time. So in order to make a 7th period, we're cutting from the existing 6 periods, which means less instructional time for the existing curriculum. What kind of an impact do you think that has across the multiple tiers within that MTSS model?
Yeah, I think there's a question that's, we don't have the answer to that yet, Jack, and it's a fair question. We will be shrinking our instructional time, as obvious when building in a 7-period day, but what we are also adding in is that intervention opportunity. So we do anticipate that there will be that built-in time throughout the course of the week, which is about an hour and a half to be able to intervene when students aren't keeping up or when they're ready for more, which really also follows with our PLC-PLT structure. What the impacts are curriculum-wise, I don't know yet. But what I can say is that we have really clear essential standards. Most of them are 6 to 7 or 8 of them, maybe 10 of them per class. And absolutely, even with the reduction, we should be able to cover those essential standards. And then teachers are going to have to make that hard decision about those kind of like need to knows versus those nice to knows. What are some of the things they might have to cut or shrink? And that's going to be something that we're going to have to continue to work through as we're planful for the next couple of years.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And
My pleasure.
And it's been a long evening for you because you joined us at our study session as
I'm
well.
happy to be here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, we have no public comments this evening, so we are going to move into the superintendent and assistant superintendent comments.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Kia. Thank you, Monica. Great work. I just appreciate the intentionality of everything you are doing. Good work. Let's see, lots to talk about. So last Monday, we recognized and honored the courage, sacrifice, and dedication of all who served in our armed forces. And I just wanted to take a moment and recognize, and I'm grateful for the freedoms that they protect and the strength they bring to our communities. And especially thank you, Jack, for your service. And not only here as a board member, but as a veteran and active still in the work you do. So thank you. A huge congratulations to our girls swim and dive. They are made state. So Friday and Saturday they will be competing. It's so good to see. I was at their meet. Both Dr. Clifford and I were at their meet last week, and just the energy in the room. I mean, it was actually so loud. People were wearing earplugs, and I next time I will need to wear earplugs. Oh my gosh, yeah. But it was great to see the energy in the room. Also, huge congratulations to our board for making Board of Distinction. So through a focused commitment of data-informed decision-making, professional development, and strategic planning, our board has advanced initiatives such as MTSS, which you've heard about moving to the middle school today, to address opportunity gaps, enhance social emotional wellness, and narrow achievement gap or disparities. Exemplifying the WASDA standards of accountability and collaborative governance for district-wide improvement. And so huge congratulations to the 5 of you and your leadership in helping us steer the ship in the right direction. And speaking of WASDA, Jenny and Heather and I are attending the WASDA conference to pick up our award and also be a part of, as much as possible, the conference. So excited to be there in Spokane next week. We will be out Thursday and Friday. Also, just want to recognize that Mike and thank Mike in the back of the room for his incredible work in closing out our budget. We closed out last year's budget in October. And as you know, the board has a policy to aim to 4% fund balance. We ended last year at a 1.3% fund balance. And I'm glad to announce that through careful budget reductions, we've moved our fund balance from a 1.3% to a 2%, a positive step towards the board's goal of reaching a 4% balance. However, this year's budget may close slightly below 2% due to challenges like lower enrollment than what we budgeted this year, as well as unforeseen staff leaves. But as we look ahead, our next steps include determining additional reduction targets for the upcoming school year. With bargaining for most of our labor groups approaching the spring, we face several unknowns, yet our focus remains on achieving steady progress towards restoring the fund balance to a healthy 4%.
I also want to thank our veterans, and Jack, I was able to thank you on Tuesday, but I appreciate your service and your continued commitment to our community and the country, and to all of our veterans. I've been able to spend a lot of time in schools the last couple of weeks, visiting primarily at the elementary schools so far, but really focusing on and highlighting and seeing through the lens of our student engagement rubrics, and also checking in on what flex time is looking like for our MTSS folks, our MTSS systems, and then also seeing how our curriculum is being implemented. So that's been a great joy to see how our students and our staff are doing with instructional practices this time of year. And then Kristen and team will be hosting their, I think, third, I didn't check, behavior, I'm calling it summit, that's not what it is, but behavior workshop, and with the grant that she was able to receive and get some partners to support this. And so that's been going really well, and it's been really supporting and I think building a lot of skills across a number of stakeholders and school staff members to be able to support and address and have tools and resources. It's just a tip of the iceberg because we really need, I think that's something that all staff would really appreciate, enjoy, and benefit from, and this is a great starting place. And then Justin already mentioned it, Dr. Irish already mentioned it, but the extracurriculars I didn't get to see it, but Sam's class had their production, the productions that's happening at the high school, just so many things happening right now with our athletics activities debate, did really well. So we just continue to have wonderful things happening all around school, inside and out. So thanks.
Thank you. Board comments. I will start by looking forward to Heather and I and Dr. Irish being in Spokane next week for the WASDA and to accept the award, but just wanted to remind everybody that we decided to, as a board a couple years ago, to only attend every other year because of the finances that it costs to go across the state, and so the three of us are attending on our own funding. So that just wanted to name that so that we aren't using district dollars to attend, but we're looking forward to being there and learning and engaging with other school board members. Are there other comments?
Thank you both for your comments about Veterans Day. I'll embarrass her just because she's here, but I also want to recognize Helen Worthington. She's an incredible community member and herself a veteran as a former Navy jet pilot. She is a fantastic role model for all of our kids, but especially for young women looking to break down barriers and get into fields where maybe they're not so well represented. So I just want to recognize you, Helen. Thank you. I also want to recognize Sam Guzik and Molly Robbins for the outstanding, I don't know if I want to call it a play or just wrangling cats, but it was amazing. I had no idea, no expectations for what that might look like, and it was professional. It was very, very good, and it was very funny. So incredible job by both of those two, and I believe Diana helped out with that as well with casting, so great job by everybody. Be remiss if I didn't mention the boys and girls cross-country teams at the high school. We had an individual state champ. The girls team did incredibly well, podium, I think, as a team. Either way, just awesome job by all of them. Last thing, a little bit more business related. this being the first time that we publicly have discussed the 7-period addition to the AMS schedule, I hope that more people will be engaged in that. I hope that there will be more conversations with the community. I think that there are a lot of questions about the how and the why and the mechanics of what that will look like, to say nothing of the second and third order effects. So I think this will be a pretty big change for a lot of families, and I think we need to be doing a really proactive job of communicating about it. Thanks.
Yes, I was going to mention the play, but it has been, and it was a very fun thing to get to see. I only got to see one of the casts. Usually I try to see 2. I also usually try to go to opening night of a high school play, but we're here instead, alas. So I'll find out about that hopefully tomorrow. But yeah, students have been doing so many things. It's hard to, I think I got to one football game and, one version of each play, but I'm also getting to see them at work at the library, and there are more engaged kids telling me about their things happening in school, mostly at middle school and high school, but it's just been really great to see that engagement happening even outside in the community. And then I have to shout out, because I would have read it anyway, even if I wasn't involved, but our high school creative writing club, which Willow also runs with me, was featured in the paper. And it was because one of them is also in swim and had told the reporter. And they just advocate for themselves. They lead the group, really. I just get to be there. But they're bringing in new kids all the time, and they so impressed me. So if you haven't seen it, I wasn't there for their interviews, so the comments that they made in their interviews really speak to the ways that kids, I think, are showing up and advocating for themselves and demonstrating these things. It's not just stuff we talk about. I also get to see it, and they have blown me away lately. So thanks for all the work that you guys do in particular. Because I had a middle school group in the other day and was reminded just how much more difficult that is to herd those cats. So I was like, oh yeah, I usually work with high school. This is different. So thank you for all that you do.
I have a fun update that I don't think I've been able to tell everybody, but Dr. Irish and Dr. Dewey and I have been working to bring a new art piece to the high school, which is a memorial to honor those who we've lost and those in our life. And it's been a very intentional process to come up with something that feels good for our community. And in the last couple of weeks, Sherry Shavers and I have been able to finish the fundraising for that project. And so we are full steam ahead with artist Paul Thorne and poet Sam Green. And we're really excited about what this will look like, and hoping that this will be potentially done by the end of the school year to be installed over the summer. But the fundraising hurdle has been met, and we're really excited to move forward with this. So right on.
Thank you. All right. Thank you all. So we're going to move on to student board rep comments. We have one building report this evening. We'll move Gabby's to next month, and then any other student comments. So we'll start with Paige, and we get to hear about the Whitney Early Learning Center. Why don't you do the building report first, and then we'll take comments second. Thank you.
Okay, so I had the pleasure of doing Whitney this month. Whitney is a little bit different, so it doesn't really have an improvement plan per se. So I kind of had to come up with my own questions. But to start off, the goals of Whitney is to really serve students with disabilities starting at 3 years old. And so really looking at IEPs and students who fall under that distinction. And then realizing that some students need more help than others, which I feel like we have talked a lot about tonight. And so making sure that we are meeting students where they're at. And again, that looks different for everybody. And then really trying to get them ready for kindergarten. So everybody, I think there's 15 students right now among 3 different classes. And so they're really trying to get them ready for kindergarten so that it's not a huge shift of, coming from home and then going into a school setting. And then Anchors Away is who we're partnering with, and so we kind of do a switch. So the Anacortes School District provides the space, and then the preschool provides the space for kids, so, or their slots. And then so the evidence which goes with like how they're collecting data, they just have to submit a report to the state, which is technically public, but they're not really socializing their ideas. But this report is on cognitive, language, and emotional development. So really your typical like preschool into kindergarten developments. And I went in and looked, and it seems like it mostly aligns with Pillar 3 because they're focusing on social emotional learning with emphasis on developmental skills. So, yeah.
Thank you, Paige. I love hearing about Whitney. I feel like we don't hear about them enough, so thank you so much. Other comments that board reps have?
Oh, I'll go first. Okay, I'm back. So a couple things to celebrate. The mattress fundraiser for choir and band went really well this year. We haven't gotten our total yet, but Miss Lander is still finalizing that, but it seems like that went really well, so we're really excited about that. We're hoping for a retreat this year with the choirs, and then we get to do some other fun things. Last year we got to watch an opera, which was really fun, so hoping for that. And then I had the pleasure of going down to the middle school this Wednesday for Equity Council, so we got to talk to students about equity. We've done 7th and 8th grade, and then we're trying to do 6th grade as well. And it's just really great to see student involvement within that. And so, yeah, that's been really good.
Okay, I have a couple. Okay, starting off with all the choir fun things. Our jazz choir got to go to a festival called Groove for Thought. After 5 years, they came back together and sang for us, which was really fun. Also, jazz choir is going to be the opener for Jeffrey Castle on December 1st, which is going to be fun. He's an electric violinist. And then today we all got our results back for a thing called All-State for choir. So congratulations to all of those who 18 including choir and band got into the All Northwest. Sorry, I couldn't get it out. And then the play, which has already been kind of talked about, but Small Mouth Sounds, is opening actually today, but it will run through, how long does it run?
It's Thursday.
Yes, Thursday. Yes, go see the play. I hear very good things about it, but yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you. I love that there's more collaboration with high school students going down and working with middle school kids. It just feels like that's really a great positive thing to be happening. So love that collaboration. Thank you both. We're going to move into finance updates. Mike has the enrollment report, and then if there's questions about that, and then we'll go into the financial reports for 2024.
Right, enrollment up slightly from October to November, so that's not usual. So again, I kind of think I said from the first month, this isn't turning out to be a very typical year for us. I'm going to continue to project down 25, even though things are running a little differently, until it, I'll say, stabilizes, or you get far enough along in the year to kind of say, here's where I think we're going to end up at that point. So, but elementary showed an increase, and like 5 of those were in 3rd grade. So that was a little bit, like I said, interesting. Middle school's pretty stable, and the high school had a typical decline. So I guess things are going where I think they would in the secondary levels, and not normal in the elementary.
One thing that has been a shift for us in practice is we have systematically implemented a yes to all choice transfers, whereas before we were more targeted. At this point, we're saying yes, come one, come all. We need you. There are exceptions.
There are exceptions,
but,
not all.
But yeah, there are parameters. But that is we're encouraging students and families from other communities to join our school district more than we have in the past.
Is that do we know if that's some of the kids coming in?
Anecdotally, yes. I have not looked at the data. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Any questions about the enrollment report?
Mike, I think you've answered this before, and I apologize for asking again, but generally speaking, can you put a dollar amount on what that 25 FTE looks like?
I was estimating it around $300,000 or so that I think will impact us this year.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you have the financial report for August of 2024 and then the F-196 for 23-24.
Yes, and my financial report really kind of is the financial report, but I kind of talk about the year end. Obviously, I made it, the most notable is the increase in the fund balance. We had budgeted to be relatively flat for the year. So, and then of course, during the year, we try everything we can to save money here and there, and I think it made a difference. So at the end of the year, we ended up okay. One of the things I think is important about my process for closing out the year is every asset and liability account that we have has supporting documentation behind it saying this is exactly what that number is. Auditors like it when they come in and look at it. It makes it easy for them to audit. But I think it's important to have because, you know, the assets minus the liabilities, that's really our fund balance, right? So as long as we have really good documentation showing exactly what we have and what we owe, then this is our fund balance. Not that I don't balance out all the revenue and expenditure accounts as well, but I'm just saying, I think that's a really important thing to have. So, and I didn't have any major, I'll say changes, you know, like our revenues, receivable types of things might have been down a little bit. Our accounts payable may have been, you know, it was about the same as it was the year before in most of those areas. So, no huge things that stood out to me in the year-end financial statements.
Thank you. Just want to name that I just really appreciate your diligence and how detailed you are, Mike. And I know the amount of time it takes you to close out the books for a year is just huge. So just really appreciate all that you do to make sure that everything is in order. And our positive audits that we've had since you've been in the district just are a testament to your thoroughness. So thank you.
Good. We did get that one audit finding, but the FCC gave us a letter saying you were in compliance.
Yep.
And I was just talking with the business managers group last week saying, because the auditors were there presenting to us. I said, can't I now say, hey, I was in compliance and have them remove the audit finding?
That.
And there's a process for that, so I'm going to pursue it. Because if I have no audit findings, I'd rather that helps us in our bond ratings and stuff in the future.
Yep.
So I'd like to get
Appreciate
rid of the one
you following
that we
up
have.
on that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Questions?
Yeah, Mike, at a study session earlier this calendar year, I think you gave us an estimate of what it would cost us to adjust the middle school schedule, and it was about $350,000 to $400,000. Do you think that estimate remains valid?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mike. All right, we are going to move into committee updates. The first one is a WIAA update from Jack. No update. All right, is there a legislative update, Meredith?
Justin. Can I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I? Just making sure nothing changed since the last time we talked. So we'll still say tentatively, we have planned a virtual meeting with our state legislators countywide. It'll be really exciting to work with our other school districts in our county. We'll present to it'll all be virtual. So every school district will be in their own location. We are combining efforts about what the impact to Skagit County school districts are in regards to transportation, special education, and then our materials and utilities and insurance. So we're going to talk about what that impact is and how much money we're not getting from the state in regards to those three areas. And then each of our districts will take a few minutes to talk about maybe something that's specialized to their district. So for example, we could talk about our experience factor, experienced teacher rates, and then we'll open it up for kind of a Q&A between our boards and the legislators. So it'll look a lot like it did here last time, but it'll be virtual and with all of our school districts in the county. So that is tentatively planned for December 5th at 3 o'clock. And we know the time is kind of inconvenient for some people in their work schedules, but it is what the legislators have asked for. And so we will continue to update everyone on that, and Nikki will send out communications as soon as we've been able to confirm all of those details.
And because it's countywide, it'll include legislators from the 40th, the 10th, and the 39th. Thank you. So we serve the 40th and 10th, not the 39th, but they serve other parts of Skagit County. So great, awesome. Thank you. Thank you both for your work on that, Meredith and Dr. Irish. And also maybe feels like wrangling cats, getting the legislators and Nikki, and Nikki, and all the other superintendents and school boards as well. So appreciate you all with that advocacy effort. All right, we are going to move into new business. So Mike stuck around. We have Resolution 996, certification of excess property taxes, and then for our information, which we will vote on, but for our information, the budget and excess levy summary is there as well.
Right, and the budget and excess summary is there because when we adopted the budget, we adopted those levy amounts listed at the bottom of that page. So, and those amounts are the amounts in the resolution, which is required for me to provide to the county so that they can tax us next year for the 2025 calendar tax year.
Thank you, Mike. So just want to clarify, this is stating that our voters approved more money for the schools through levy funds than we are able to collect. Is that correct?
Well, in this case, this is the amount that the voters approved.
Oh, and we can collect that amount?
We are able to collect the full amount this year.
Okay, so we are not, this is not showing the difference between the levy cap and the...
Right, we're not rolling anything back.
Okay, so this is just showing what we can collect?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Other questions?
When we talked about this in the past, when we had the state-imposed lid on our levy collection rate.
Yes.
For easy math, let's just say that the voters had approved $1.50 per thousand assessed. We were nominally collecting $1.25. And I don't know exactly what the ratios are, but we'll use those for conversation.
Now it's like 77 cents next year, but yeah.
When we were talking about that, we thought that just being able to collect what the voters approved, if we had been able to do that, that would have been a difference of almost $1 million positive to our revenue.
Yeah, I think more than that. If we were able to collect the $1.50
in the hypothetical.
Yeah, because it was $1 or something when we started, but since the assessed valuations have gone up so much, the rate per thousand goes down. So unlike other agencies, when they tax, they get a tax percentage, more or less, right? And so when your assessed value goes up, they get some more money. But we tax a dollar amount. So when the assessed value goes up, your tax rate goes down. We're getting the amount of money that we requested. So that's unique to school districts. So I don't think I answered your question directly, though.
So through all of this, are we going to see any net increase in revenue?
Not really, no. And I'd say because our enrollment went up and stayed up a little higher than we anticipated as we went along, right? And so even though we're not meeting the $1.50 cap, we were before meeting the per student cap. And I'll say this next year, we're not quite meeting the dollar per student cap because that went up at a much higher rate than anticipated.
And last question for the community.
Not a huge difference, by the way. But
when the community gets their tax bill, what difference will they see from last year to this year as a result of this?
For the school district taxes, I have not calculated it for a homeowner. But I would anticipate that they wouldn't notice a difference from last year to this year for what they're paying to the school district. It would be very small if there was much of one.
Sure, and whatever the city charges or any other entity, like we can't control that, but I just
Right.
I would want us to be able to get out in front of if there was going to be a noticeable change on a tax bill, but
No.
it sounds like there's not going to be.
There will not be.
Awesome, thank you.
No.
Thank you. Other questions? All right, then I will take a motion to approve Resolution 996, certification of excess property taxes.
So moved.
Thank you, Meredith. Is there a second? Thank you, Jack. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. So we have a consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments about the consent agenda before we vote? Just, I'll name that we've received a very generous anonymous donation to support science, high school science equipment in the high school classrooms. And just want to name that the board, on behalf of the board, the gratefulness that we feel for folks stepping in and helping to support some of the needs, especially given the financial situation that the district is in. So thank you to the anonymous donors for their contribution to our science program at the high school.
Jenny, if I could just second that, I'm really excited that this was a targeted donation towards a classroom need, a science need. That's super awesome. We are always grateful for people that want to donate to athletics and co-curriculars. That's great. But when we can get donors to donate to the classroom for stuff like this, it's really cool. So I want to share that. If there aren't other comments, I move to approve consent agenda items A through E.
Great. Is there a second? Thank you, Diana. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. So for our board calendar, we have our study session. We don't do a site visit in December. We're going to let the schools just not have us come join them during December. But we do have a study session and business meeting on December 12th, and then we'll pick up with our site visits January 9th at the high school. Looking forward to being back here. And then we'll have a school board retreat immediately following the site visit here at the high school on January 9th. Looking forward to some extended time for the board to study together and learn together. And then our January study session and business meeting is on the 23rd. So I have something to read about the closed session now. So we will now adjourn the regular business meeting. We will then move into closed session under RCW 4230-110-1G. The closed session is expected to last approximately 30 minutes. Thank you all for being here, and the board is going to move into the conference room, I believe.
Vicky, Commissioner? Yep.
Great, and we will adjourn after the closed session is over. So students, you're also dismissed, so thank you for being here.
Already talked to her about it. Yes. I have to run into the closed session.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I'll be quick.
Okay. What do you got?
So, the first thing, so was this the
10:58, and the school board is adjourned.